It's my parents. I'm not saying that just because they're here, but I think in many respects they were teenagers and, they ended up with this kid who was very inquisitive. My mother was studying to be a teacher, so she did a lot of her lesson plans on me. Wow. And so by the time I was 4, I was reading the New York Times. And so that sounds crazy, but that's how.
Unbelievable. But this is inspired by the summer that you spent at the beach with your family. So what is it like to share that time with your children?
It's amazing. I mean, there are only 3 places in the country where Black folks were allowed to summer on. I have this huge platform on The View, and I just started thinking about giving voice to the voiceless. What some people don't know about me is they know I'm a prosecutor, but I'm from the South Bronx projects. Like, I'm really just a everyday person. And I remember when I was 7, my uncle was in front of me, and our family never.
Everything exploded on live television as a dreadful family secret was disclosed that no one expected, especially from Sunny Hostin, who was known for loudly speaking out against racism. Her whole image was shattered by one jaw-dropping discovery. Sunny's third great-grandfather was a slaveholder. This wasn't some obscure hearsay or false gossip. It came from the reputable program Finding Your Roots, where Sunny consented to research her ancestors. She anticipated something inspirational, maybe even emotional, but what she received sent shockwaves throughout the internet. Sunny practically froze on TV as the researchers revealed the truth. She blinked, hesitated, and wiped it away. No grand statement, no true contemplation, just a short accounting.
I definitely am a journaler, so I did that piece, and I also just sort of sat down and dictated a lot of my memories, and I just started from the beginning. I started from my childhood in the South Bronx project.
For someone who has made a career out of shouting out racial insensitivity, this was the ultimate plot twist. Her silence both perplexed and enraged her fans. Twitter was inundated with criticism, and even longtime supporters started to ask, how can someone so outspoken about justice be so silent about her own past? That's when the real drama started. Before we proceed, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It genuinely helps us improve and provide more intriguing stories like this one. Let us now proceed.
For me, the two moments are connected in a couple of ways, but I decided to become a prosecutor because I saw my uncle in front of me. And I saw that he didn't seem to matter to the...
What happened next turned a personal revelation into a full-blown public meltdown. The internet was already buzzing, but things hit a boiling point on The View Live, unscripted and totally unfiltered. It started during a seemingly normal segment. The co-hosts were talking about legal scandals and public image when Sunny, still clearly rattled by the ancestry backlash, made a sly, almost offhand remark. She hinted that some people on the show had pushed certain narratives too far, and those narratives her eyes locked on Joy Behar and the tension built quickly. Joy responded sharply, her brows lifted, her face pinched, and you could see she wasn't about to let it go in front of cameras and a live audience. Joy pressed Sunny to clarify her meaning. Sunny hesitated, clearly uncomfortable, but then went on to say that if they hadn't stirred things up with so much gossip about specific people, they might not be dealing with litigation and media upheaval. Today,
if you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television.
Sunny's dumb. Certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well.
Dayjoy did not back down. She sat up straighter and dug in, wondering why someone who preaches moral clarity was suddenly avoiding responsibility. It was forceful, harsh, and completely undeniable. Suddenly, a historical discussion turned into a spotlight on Sunny's personal contradictions, which were broadcast in real time to millions of viewers. Behar wasn't just defending herself. She was calling Sunny out loud and clear, live on air, and it wasn't subtle. Joy reminded Sunny right there in front of everyone how she'd spent years demanding accountability from public figures who refused to acknowledge America's racist past. She dragged politicians, celebrities, and even historical figures for their roles in oppression and injustice, But now that her own family history came out, silence, deflection, excuses, Joy pressed harder. How does blaming others for this mistake square up with the principles you proclaim from here?
My first stomping grounds, when I first started being a comedian, I started down there. You know, the gay audience is my best. They were great. They laughed at everything. They got it.
Why
they were supportive. Why did they get me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They just got you.
They did. They did.
And when you came here, well, tell folks, you were born and raised where?
Sunny, who was normally steady and confident, seemed rattled. The studio audience grew quiet and the cameras seemed to pause. While this heated conversation was going on, the internet was already on fire. Clips were shared, reposted, and discussed, and Joy's remarks spread like wildfire. Within an hour, hashtags started trending and viewers weren't just responding. Some applauded Joy for holding firm, while others felt it was too harsh. But no one could dispute that the moral authority Sunny had built her career on was suddenly under threat, and it wasn't only from outsiders, but also from her own colleague. Joy Behar, as if the drama on The View wasn't intense enough, another headline surfaced that added fuel to the flames. Melania Trump launched a $100 million lawsuit over alleged defamatory allegations. It seemed to be completely unrelated at first, but conservative commentator Greg Gutfeld rushed in and ensured it wasn't on his show. Gutfeld brought everything together by addressing Sunny by name, accusing her of hypocrisy and moral grandstanding, and playing clips from The View, including Joy's slow-motion takedown of Sunny with snide commentary.
Cheating while Melania was pregnant.
That was all. That's not going to come in front of the jury, though. The judge has ruled that
we're
will
not.
come up.
We're on television now. And then after Melania gave birth to the baby, he found Stormy to strip around with, right?
Yeah.
It's like people should look at him and say, what kind of an insecure jerk are you? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, my wife's pregnant. I'm not attracted to her big belly or something. And now she's paying attention to the baby.
Ridiculing the whole scenario as if it were a late night comedy routine, but it was not humorous. Rather, it was purposeful. He portrayed Melania as someone standing up for herself, taking legal action to safeguard her identity, while Sunny, who had spent years condemning others for their past, was now attempting to get out of hers. The contrast was severe. One woman was fighting back with attorneys, while the other was struggling under the weight of her own inconsistencies. Suddenly, two entirely unrelated problems were combined into one headline-grabbing tale, and Sunny was no longer merely suffering criticism from fans or Joy. She had become the ideal target for conservative media. The scandal had legs and fangs, and it now had the support of a culture war story. Sunny wasn't only dealing with a personal revelation. She was also caught in the midst of a national uproar. Backstage at The View, according to accounts, the producers were afraid. They were concerned not just about the conflict between Sunny and Joy, but also about losing viewers, advertisers, and pushing the whole show into dangerous territory. Behind the scenes, the tone shifted and employees whispered about sponsors' cold feet. Rumors spread that network executives were closely watching how this mess played out, and right in the center of it all was Sunny, once the show's confident moral voice, now under a microscope. The problem wasn't just the revelation about her ancestor, but how she handled it. She didn't seem apologetic. She didn't seem thoughtful. She seemed defensive and in some moments even dismissive. People noticed viewers who had once supported her returning not because of her family history. Another shot was fired, but this time it wasn't quiet or cautious. It was straight. People were no longer watching a morning show, they were watching a breakdown happen in real time. That comment from Sunny hit hard, and Joy wasn't about to let it slide. As soon as Sunny implied that Joy's jokes had helped fuel the media frenzy, everything shifted. The air in the studio went heavy, and you could see the shock on Joy's face. And then boom, she fired back. Joy leaned in and didn't sugarcoat it. Sunny, still frustrated, doubled down, saying that if the jokes hadn't been so relentless, people like Melania Trump wouldn't have had ammunition for a $100 million lawsuit. Joy's patience snapped. She reminded Sunny that she had made a career out of holding others accountable, demanding they face their pasts, demanding they look in the mirror, And then she hit her with the line that would go viral in minutes. "You can't expect everyone else to ... Sunny went silent, clearly rattled. She blinked fast, looked down, looked away completely off her usual confident game. The cameras caught every second. Social media exploded. Memes, debates, and think pieces flooded the internet within hours. This wasn't just daytime drama anymore. It had become a cultural event. Social media couldn't look away. The clip of Joy shutting down Sunny was everywhere, shared, memed, slowed down, remixed. Viewers were split, but everyone had an opinion. Some praised Joy, his audience ate it up, and with Melania Trump's lawsuit still looming in the background, the tension reached a new level of absurdity. What began as a personal ancestry reveal had now become a national debate on hypocrisy, morality, and public accountability, and Sunny was being hammered from all sides by conservative media, lifelong followers, including her own co-host. Her silence, tone, and timing were all being analyzed. What made matters worse was that she had spent years holding others accountable, and now people wanted to see whether she could manage the same heat and the expression on her face during that live interaction did not bode well as the disturbance spread deeper into public view. The strain on the view became overwhelming. Viewers were tuned in not just for topical themes, but also for every look and micro-expression between Sunny and Joy. The relationship may have been subtle, but the idea made the producers sweat bullets. Every episode now has a distinct weight. The show's usual rhythmic conversations, political banter, and celebrity news were replaced with an unspoken tension. Sunny's body language changed, Joy's tone tightened, and every eye roll and side glance became significant. People even started researching pauses and stuttering. What was once a safe space for moral discussion has become a war of unacknowledged complaints. Sunny was attempting to move on and couldn't bring out systemic injustice without being attacked. In the comments, her credibility had taken a significant knock, and it was spilling into every discussion she attempted to lead. The whole program had become a high-stakes drama, but this time, the cast wasn't acting, and although Sunny tried to keep things professional on screen, the tension simply wouldn't let up. Sunny said that knowing about her family's background had been extremely tough. She claimed it took her by surprise, but she still, meanwhile, Joy refused to back down. In a later interview, stating, "Plain and simple, you can't ask everyone else to look in the mirror if you're not prepared to do it yourself." That phrase landed like a slap the first time, and it struck much harder now that Joy was standing by it in public. The message was clear: if you want to be the moral compass, you must be prepared when it points back at you. People online continued bringing the video back into the limelight. Every time Sunny attempted to lead a section about justice or inequality, the comments were swamped with sideways glances. But what about your great-grandfather? She had spent years cultivating her reputation. The View had inadvertently created a much broader discussion, and it was not going away anytime soon. Then came the rating increase as all of the drama unfolded, including the ancestry problem, the live blow-up with Joy, and the looming shadow of Melania Trump's lawsuit. The View saw a surprising spike in viewers, as people who hadn't watched in years tuned in daily to see if Sunny and Joy would clash again. What was once a talk show became must-see television, with fans analyzing every smirk, pause, and clipped sentence like a drama series. The tension was raw, unpredictable, and profitable, but some questioned if the show had crossed a line, turning personal breakdowns into ratings fuel. Sunny Hostin, once the show's moral compass, now spoke with noticeable hesitation, aware the audience was watching her differently. Joy Behar emerged as the voice saying what many were thinking, reminding Sunny to hold herself to the same standards she demanded of others. Her line, "Look in the mirror," became the defining sound bite. Though both women stayed on the show, the atmosphere was forever changed.